Hello and welcome to Hibs Talk News. I'm Gav. I've got a few stories to talk to you about today. We have news on a new signing on a pre-contract joining the summer. We have an update on the managerial situation, a name that is on the shortlist and two names that won't be. And we have an update for ahead of tonight's game in regarding the team news with 9 players set to be out. But we start with the news that Davy Marshall has signed a pre-contract to join Hibs. He signed a short-term deal to join QPR in January, and it has now been reported by West London Sport that Davy Marshall has agreed a deal to join Hibs in the summer, and it has also been reported by STV News that it will be a 2-year deal that Marshall will be joining on. So I think it's a really good signing. I think, the goalkeeper department, I think Big Kev's been coming on and doing a job when he's been asked of, so I'm a bit frustrated if he's kind of fallen down the pecking order again, but I think Macy's been a bit fine, 6 out of 10 each game, nothing spectacular, which is kind of what you want from a goalkeeper, but there's maybe been times where he could have came for crosses or he's been a wee bit at fault, and rumours he's a high earner as well. Don't know if that's true, but if it is, has he justified that? Probably not. So it'll be interesting to see if the 3 goalkeepers are there next season or whether this is a case of Macy or Dabrowski moving on. And like I say, if Marshall's going to be number 1, but like I say, your thoughts on Marshall potentially number 1 for Hibs next season. So as the managerial search goes on, we did speak last week about Ron Gordon flying back into the country. Obviously we've seen him after the game on Saturday presenting Paul Hanlon with the Hanlon 500 shirt. Yes, he's in the country and his shortlist is apparently getting narrower and narrower in terms of who they want to actually interview and consider for the job. One name that is on that list is Carl Robinson. He was at MK Dons for 6 years, famously beating Manchester United 4-0 in the Carabao Cup at the time. He was at Charlton for 2 years and he spent the last 4 years at Oxford. Bit of a strange one. I mean, I think he was very hot property after his time at MK Dons. I don't think Charlton kind of went the way they'd kind of hoped, and then obviously a kind of solid 4 years at Oxford. I think they were in the playoffs this year and failed to get to the playoff final. So I mean, a decent enough potential appointment. I think there has been a lot of talk, a few names coming from down south, so it's not a surprise that something like Carl Robinson's kind of coming up. I don't know, I've seen a lot of mixed reaction from when we've kind of posted this on Twitter. Some people saying they'd be underwhelmed, don't think this would be a name to get butts back in seats, but some people are quite excited by it, so it'll be an interesting one. But 2 names that it's not going to be is Derek McInnes and Tony Mowbray. It's kind of been reported that Derek McInnes is not on this shortlist, Ron Gordon's shortlist. I think we need a cool name for that. And then Tony Mowbray, obviously we spoke about him as well last week. He's come out and said he feels he's kind of reached the pinnacle in Scotland. I guess he means challenging for the title with Celtic, which he never won, to be fair, but come win the title with Hibs. Anyway, he sees the Premier League is where he's kind of aiming towards once he gets back into management. So not Hibs. So it's not going to be Tony Mowbray and it's not going to be Derek McInnes, but it might be Carl Robinson. So there's a wee managerial update, and I'm sure there'll be more to come later in the week. So on the day recording this, it is Dundee tonight, and ahead of the trip to Dens Park, Sir David Gray could be without 9 players. We know that. I've got the list here. Doidge, McGuinness, Nisbet, Wright, Allen, Cadden and Hanlon are out, but he's revealed it could be up to 9, so there's another 2 that are kind of doubts. We're unsure which 2 they are. And David Gray spoke about the potentially, having to use some of the youngsters. I think something a lot of us, we've kind of mentioned on the podcast, calling for them to be, the season's effectively over, why not throw them in? But David Gray pointed out that the kind of problem with that as well, the fact that these guys, I think they've got like 5 games in hand or something in the under-18s league, and they've got those games to play, so they're playing a lot of games at the moment. They're hardly doing any training because of that, so to throw them into a first team game as well just means more football for them, obviously increases the chances of injuries, and that's so it is kind of, I understand it is a bit of a difficult one, but with 9 players out, might be left with no choice and they might have to get involved in some capacity tonight. So that's the stories we have today. Enjoy the Dundee game tonight. We will get a review of that and the Aberdeen game out tomorrow ahead of the final game of the season against St Johnstone. Hopefully there's more to come with the managerial situation, and like I say, we've got a few posts on the socials if you want to check them out, discussing whether Stephen Fletcher should come back. Obviously there's no sort of discussion, he's just admitted he's leaving Stoke, and whether Hibs fans have been interested, so let us know, keep that conversation going. And also about the goalkeeping situation, who do you want to be your number 1 next season? Let us know below. But we'll be back tomorrow with the podcast. Apologies, there was not one last week. We'll blame Papa Stu for going on a stag do. But like I say, enjoy the game tonight, and we'll speak to you soon.